Video games. Since the dawn of Pong in 1958, pixels have opened a world of imaginations. You can fight dragons, build cities, and scream racial slurs on Fortnite. For the last 70 years, gaming has been evolving, innovating, until today, where I change history. GMTK, a pretty small YouTube channel, annually hosts the GMTK Game Jam, where loads of competent game devs and me are given 4 days to make a game. Pretty complicated stuff. This video is probably out the blue since I'm pretty lazy and haven't touched this channel in a hot minute. Forget that. Let's hope this bout of motivation lasts longer than a couple of weeks. I did participate recently in the Bracket 2025.1 Game Jam, but all I managed to make there was a little animation of a boat bobbing up and down on the ocean and a parallel sky. More on this later. The theme is loop. Now, you can come up with something quite imaginative and out of the box, time travel, looping space-time reality, and you should probably look at the successful entries for this game jam since this video is kind of late. But here's my idea. You're an archer who finds a magical golden arrow. To catch, you only have one of this arrow and it doesn't replenish. So you have to shoot the arrow, loop it around the level to kill the enemies, and then finally return it back to the archer to pass the level. Well, that was the plan. I started with the throwing mechanic. First, I got the archer's arm to rotate and always point towards the mouse, just by making it a vector between the two positions. Then, I worked on throwing the arrow itself, basically instantiating it from a prefab and then giving it some velocity. At this point, I also had to figure out how I'd make the arrow curve. I wrote some code to search through all the magic boxes in the scene, find the closest one and then bend the arrow towards it. For some reason I tried using hinge joints for this. Yeah, that didn't work. The simplest solution was just to change the velocity to orbit the box. Next, I jumped over to Krita and drew the archer character and the arrow sprite, imported them into Unity and set up a quick character. To help visualize the arrow, I drew a simple line with a line renderer. Alright, yeah, I finally got the arrow curving system to work. Once that was done, I added a particle trail renderer so that the arrow left behind some magic particles as it flew. Then I returned back to Krita, drew up an enemy sprite, nothing fancy, just a static little enemy with no animations. For the level itself, I was honestly running out of steam, so I grabbed a grass tile set I had made earlier and dropped it in and called it a day. The art style didn't match, the characters have outlines and the grass tiles are pixel art, but the jam deadline was closing in and I just wanted something playable. By this point, I had a working little loop of gameplay. You fire the arrow, you curve it over the obstacle, you hit the enemy and then bend it back to the archer. Unfortunately, there was no UI, sound effects or extra levels, just about 10 seconds of bare bones gameplay. Right before submitting, I ended a simple dotted line renderer that shows the arrow trajectory before you shoot. I put everything onto an itch.io page, uploaded the WebGL build, added a screenshot, wrote a quick description and hit submit, just in time for the jam. The results were kind of expected, didn't really hit the bullseye on this one. Although the jam actually didn't have an overall score ranking, I didn't do so good on any of the categories. Anyway, this is fine, because at the end of the day, I improved my coding ability and the next game jam will probably be a bit better. The project is not dead though. I definitely think there's some solid game mechanics in here, so you'll probably see an update soon in the next few months, years, decades. Adding some more levels, music and a bunch more art will take this bare bones game mechanic into actually something worth playable. Obviously, a link to Loopy the magic flying arrow will be in the description, so check it out and give any feedback and any unique ideas you think of. On my itch page you can actually check out all my other work, and as I mentioned previously, I tried to make a game for that Brackets Game Jam and that was a bit of a bust. But it did result in, if I do say so myself, some pretty good sky background art, ready for parallax in any side-scrolling game. I've just remembered that my last few videos were building up to this amazing platforming project that I was doing. This cyberpunk-esque action platformer that I was making for my EPQ school project. Yeah, I did actually finish that and the results are on my page, so you can actually go and play it if you want. Link will be in the description. I also have a pretty good, decent grass tile set, as I mentioned before, that I use actually in this game. A slime animation I've made for an earlier project you can see on this channel, and a mech I also made earlier for a different game jam that you can also see on this channel. Because recently I've gone back to my itch page and jazzed it up, and also updated a lot of assets ready to be sold. So if you're an aspiring game developer and you've come this far in the video and need some assets for your next game, check these out and give me money so I can buy cool things. Alright, I'll see you in the next one.